Welcome back, City Builders. I'm Red Ginger, and today we're kicking off our brand new build series in Riverbend Peak County, where rivers flow, peaks rise, and prosperity thrives. In this series, we'll go from a small town by the river to a bustling metropolis nestled in the mountains. Today, we're laying the foundation, zoning our first neighborhoods, and getting the services up and running. Let's dive in, create cities, and control chaos. As always, zone this channel to higher density, hit that like button and subscribe. That way, you won't miss another episode. Our vision is simple: a balanced, vibrant city where nature and urban design come together. We'll start small, but each decision today will lay the groundwork for future expansion. We'll make sure to respect the topography and play this as realistic as possible. That's what makes this an epic build. All right, so let's get started by evaluating this wonderful map. We'll want to see which way the water's flowing, which way the wind is blowing, and just all of the topography and natural resources so that we can respect this all. So let's go ahead and get started by checking out the water. Let's see which way the water's flowing so that we don't accidentally drink any poop water, because that would be a total bummer. So, looks like what we're going to do is deposit all of our sewage over here and pump in fresh water over here. So, that looks like it might be a good contender where we'll pump it in, pump it out. That way we're not sucking up any nasty water, because that would just be a crappy situation. So let's go to the next piece and see where we're going to lay our industrial and residential. This one, we're going to look at the wind with our pollution map. So it looks like we are going to probably put our industrial on this peninsula here onto the river, and our residential on over here. And commercial. So the land looks relatively flat for now here. Once we start going up this hillside is when it starts to add a lot of complexity to it, which is spectacular. That's my favorite part of these maps. So let's just double check and see if our theories are correct. But first, rear resources so we don't accidentally build on them. So our starting tile only comes with agricultural, which, not terrible. But some ore would have been nice. In this case, we have some forestry, which we can take advantage of. We'll probably take advantage of a little bit of this to begin with. We'll probably keep this a residential, or I'm always a big fan of putting some city service of some sort on a peninsula like that. So, looks like we got some oil back here and some ore in the back off to the side. So it's going to be quite a few tiles before we can look to mine any ore. And perfect. Now let's just check out the topography, because why not? It's an important piece of the map, and it'll help us understand where we're building, how we're building. Are we going to be moving any land? I'm not a big fan of moving lots of land, but I will for approaches for bridges, as well as making sure that we are appropriately zoning our neighborhoods. So let's take a look. We'll use our topography. All right, so yeah, this is relatively flat. These lines here are far apart compared to here, where this is a little steeper. You can see once you get down to the water level, there's a significant hike up there. And then this is beautiful. This is perfect for zoning industrial, because it's very flat. It's not too far off from this side. So there'll be a little approach or a ramp that we'll have down here, but this looks amazing. For our arterial road coming in off this highway, we're probably going to follow this contour line pretty close. not too far off. We'll probably curve it and then make this straight, kind of flatten this out just a little bit, push some high dirt over here to fill in this spot, and then we'll basically not have this little odd divot in here. That'll help us with our zoning. But for this, we'll go ahead and make sure that we're respecting this topography when it comes to zoning for a residential and commercial. Same thing with over here. So we're probably not going to have anything too big or fancy off to this side. Most of our zoning to start out the game will be right in here. So with that, let's turn it over to putting our roads together, laying the foundation. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our foundation and our road layout here. We will probably, we'll do a little bit of landscaping just to make sure things are relatively flat and reasonable. Like I said before, we're going to utilize this contour line. Instead of zigzagging back, I'm just going to bring this right through. With the level terrain tool, I'm going to probably drop this one down a little bit and make it a little bit bigger so that it follows a contour line. There you go. So you can see we're just pushing that dirt around. There isn't a significant piece, so we're taking dirt from here and we're putting it there. Perfect. And now with that, we're going to go ahead and soften this terrain so it's not so drastic, right? Because we want to make sure our contour lines are respected and that there isn't a ginormous increase or decrease in our movement. Big fan of the soften tool here. It makes things look a little bit nicer, a little politer. Because when you start getting these contour lines that are like, whoa, hey, like that's quite a bit, right? We're going to see that over here because, of course, of how tight these contour lines are on this side, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and get started now with our road. We're going to go ahead and use a 4-lane road for our arterial. I'm a big fan of the continuous tool, turning on our contour lines so we can see where we just were. And now because I did that flat part, now I have a nice straight stretch here to work with. And we're probably not going to build too much off of that, but it's all good. Alright, so what I also want to consider and do here is take the height of this guy and just bring it right over, and then also bring it to this side too so that we can make a bridge. So we can start to lay out our area for our industrial area, because that's going to be easier. It's much flatter. It's good to work with. So level tool, we're going to flatten. I don't need it so big. Actually, let's make it big so that I can soften it. So we'll keep this flat. I'm going to keep this area here so that I can maybe build a service road or some other road connecting down on the riverfront. And now because we have that height, we can go ahead and do the similar thing over here. And let's see what we can do. This one, I'm going to do a slope terrain, and I'm going to slope from here to this height here, just by right clicking at the top and then left clicking at the bottom where I want to start my slope. So, and that, I'm just going to do it like that so that I can bring the bridge over and then decide which way I'm going to curve. So let's go. And I'm going to want to put this intersection kind of on this bend here, so because in real life, I mean, you're going to want to be able to see traffic from both ways. Here's the idea. If you're here, right, you want to be able to look down the road and look down this road so that you can make a decision on how and when you're going. So let's get going. And because we made this the same height, the joys is we don't even have to play with the whole height adjustment piece, because we're going to keep it at 0, starting up there, And we're going to bring this down just like so. And now we have a nice straight launch right on there. So as you can see, now we have our starting layout here for our arterials. And then we can go ahead and let's slap a roundabout in there. Let's make it fancy with a tree. Oh, big spender there. All right, that'll help with traffic flow as cars go this way, and then our residential traffic is going to go this way, residential and commercial. All right, so let's get back to laying the foundations here for our road, or it's in our industrial area. Let's go ahead and start with straight tool, 3-lane road, asymmetrical so we can have some turn lanes. And these are going to just be our roads that we're bringing into our industrial area. 175. I'm always a big fan of 175 for some reason. Just sounds nice, especially for industrial areas. So we got that. Let's add one more. Now, something that I've found to be very interesting in this case. Actually, let's zone one more block, actually, and then we can talk about what I think might be interesting and you might think is not interesting. I don't know. We'll find out. So we're going to have a steep grid. Let's soften this up here. And then in theory, we're taking some of this dirt that we magically pulled out of thin air. But we're going to soften this approach up because we don't need it so big anymore. And then I just kind of want to level this out a tad and then soften up this backside. There. Now it shouldn't be terrible. Yeah, that's better. Let's turn our guides back on. 180. Perfect. Alright, so we got a little dip in the corner, and that's alright, because we'll start to slope down and create a additional industrial pad off of here. But what I was going to say is going to be interesting, or I think is interesting, was that we don't want to cul-de-sac this. So I'll go ahead and add an additional piece here. But what I was going to say is we're going to keep these little lips here so that all of a sudden this road name of, what is this, Lindenberg doesn't come up Washington Street, because we delete this guy and it continues on. And then because this is doing this, it's probably going to all name. So it's atrocious. So when it comes to our industrial area, I'm a big fan of utilizing these service roads to help break up the zoning so that we don't have just a bunch of 6x6s. So I'll go ahead and there'll be one side where we have the opportunity for 6x6s, and then we're going to have 5s and then 4s along this road. And then 3s here. And 4s here, just to add some diversity in building size. It's one thing that I've noticed this game doesn't have too much of, are diverse zonable assets. So by forcing the situation by utilizing these service roads, and it provides a opportunity for businesses to have backside access. So we've got that. So now our industrial area that we're going to zone industrial here is all set for our initial road layout. Now let's go through and soften this up and then do the complex part. So this one we're going to play a little bit more with our contour lines. Like I said before, we'll play with our contour lines so that it's a little bit more respected. And we'll get in our, we call them our little nubs. So in this case, we can go ahead and just go right off of. So 175. Well, I'm going to do 122s by probably 122s in this in this residential area. For this main piece, and then we're gonna go and do something a little different. So 3% is not a terrible grade. Anything more than 5% or 5%, I would say that we need to play a little bit more thoughtful when it comes to the topography. So in this case, I am satisfied with the starting zone. When we zone over here, we'll just need to be a little bit more thoughtful. Oh, that's not too bad, actually. We might be able to get another set of squares. Just to drop 4.6, yeah. Yeah, we could do another drop of squares. And now this is where we'll play a little bit with our contour lines. These are still pretty decent, but you can see if we do this, we will maintain the curvature. So with this, I'm going to pull the zoning off of this street here. And I'm going to use the pedestrian path to choose that one. It's going to put it then on these ones here because I'd rather have them front and center. It's only popping there because we zone that one first. All right. So what we got? We have a nice square, a nice grid. Let's see if there's anything over here. We could probably follow this contour line as well. And till we get to there. So it's 2%. And let's go straight. 1%, perfect. And then we can still play with the grid because these are still reasonable. Now we did this one first. I don't want any buildings on that one. So again, I'll do the wonderful pedestrian path trick that's oldest in the book, I feel like, when it comes to city skylines. So let's see what our initial road layout looks like. So we have our wonderful industrial grid, as well as we have our residential grid to start out. And then we'll have some commercial along our main arterial here. As well as maybe some medium density once we get to that point. But, so with that, next off, we're off to zoning our first neighborhoods. All right, so let's get started with zoning. In this case, let's do our commercial zoning because we're going to paint that in with the marquee tool because we want to respect the road hierarchy on this one, where we typically want our commercial on our collector roads, which that's what Valley Street is here, as well as Ivy Street. These are our collector roads into our neighborhoods. And we'll go ahead and just put a handful of these out here. We don't need too much because well, we haven't unpaused the game yet since we started. But we don't need too much because there's no shoppers right now. So let's go ahead and get some residential zoned in here so that we can go ahead and take care of that and get some shoppers. So this is another one of our collector roads. Like I said, I will probably just allocate some space for it by outlining what's going on. where we'll want to put our commercial. So I'll do commercial here. We'll put a couple residential and maybe a pedestrian path going across here. The nice thing about how this is laid out, the zoning for these will be on our arterial in this case, kind of just like a regular downtown at some point. We might, I've been kicking the idea around of, do we upgrade or change Pearl Street to a couplet? Because I think that would look awesome with you coming right into town and then going into a couplet into a residential commercial area, especially one that will loop around probably to this side over here and connect additional to our industrial region and to more residentials. So it's something I've been kicking around. Let me know in the comments what you think, if we should take this to the next level and make this a couplet. And even if we end up building over here later in the episode, I'm more than willing to destroy a whole bunch of stuff to make something look awesome and to get your guys' input. So let me know, and let's get back. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and do the paint tool, except for in here, because we are playing with some steeper hills. So if I zone all the way up, we might get a 2x6 house against a different residential building here, and that's going to create some sharp and jagged cliffs that's going to be hard to smooth. So against this road, I'm just really going to go 3, so that we do have this empty area, but it's going to allow for a small little cliffside to build to fit the area. Similar on this side. Actually, I'm going to take out a row as well, so it's not so severe. And then on this side, we're going to do something similar where it's a 3, because again, it's dropping down, but it's not significant. I think I'll put a couple out here for another row, just to diversify the building options up there. But in this case, we're good with 4. Because of how stable these areas are, I'm good with what we have. Let's make it consistent. Just do 3s off of here. Do 4 off of here. And we can do straight up and maybe it's 2. And then what we can also consider as well is some form of park, or just make this more of a nicer designed space that seems intentional. All right, so what do we got? We got our residential zone with purpose over here and purpose over here. That leaves us now with our industrial zone, which we can just go ahead and slap that right in there. So, except for I forgot I wanted to be a little bit more intentional with this. So what we can do with this one is we can take out some of the zoning like that. So then whatever gets built here is going to probably get sunk down. And then that leaves a buffer so it's not just a jagged rock or cliff area over there. But we also didn't want to screw up the topography and abuse our landscaping tools too much. So this is the natural slope down this hill. As we go, we'll most likely continue our collector road out and come down and build some additional industrial down here. All right, so with that, we now have our zoning in place. At least our initial zoning, which is going to change because these are all going to fill up and we're still going to need more people and we're going to need more jobs and we're going to need more services and everything else like that. So here's our zoning. All right, so we've done a lot of things so far. So we've done our road layouts, we've done our zoning, but we're missing one of the most essential pieces to the city, and that is water, and electricity. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. We analyzed the map earlier where we talked about making sure that our sewer outlet is in the right spot, as well as our water pumping station. So we talked about putting our sewer outlet back here so that it pumps all of our dirty poo water right out into this beautiful flowing river. And with our luck, it'll probably get caught somewhere back in here and forever be polluted, unless we play a little differently with the map. And in this case, we have multiple options. So we have the water towers, which can be placed anywhere. We have this groundwater pumping station, which I typically don't use, but this can be placed anywhere when it comes to the groundwater. The other piece I love to use is the one that I typically and will always use here is the water pumping station that goes into a body of water. But you also have to respect the current and make sure that everything's set. So we talked about adding this pumping station to the river over here, which isn't a terrible idea. But when we were zoning and other things like that, I noticed this wonderful body of water back here, this little lake, that the only way it's really going to get polluted is if we put some form of ground polluting business or city service back here, which we can manage and maintain because most of our ground pollution is going to be on this peninsula out this way. So I am going to take advantage of this little pond and lake back here and put our pumping station, which requires a road, which I will add a service road or an alley, like the similar ones that we added over by the industrial area. I am going to use a continuous curve so that we can go ahead and respect our topography in here and maintain a logical road design so it's not all bendy and choppy and whatnot. So we got that. Now we got to hook up our sewer to our sewage outlet, which I'll just go ahead and connect right to our arterial and go across. Nothing else is there. Water's pretty straightforward. Wham bam, we're good there. Now we have to move on to electricity. This is where you have to make decisions. There's 3 routes you can go. In this case, I'm gonna go with the windmill, but you can also just go with the transformer station and buy your power. You can also go with the small coal power plant, which is not small on the budgetary component. It's a large investment and has a high upkeep. The reason I go with the wind turbine because it's cost effective, $25,000, creates up to 5 megawatts without any upgrades. With upgrades, it can produce more, and it's a minimal upkeep. It's spectacular in that front. Let's find a spot that we can put it. So you can see here where it has electricity production. We need to find a good spot that has higher winds. I typically want to try and get more than 5 megawatts is what I would make, or 4 megawatts. So we have an opportunity back here in this corner. Or this corner? Yeah. Down here? No. In the water? Nope. Over in this agricultural area? Yeah. Oh, I like this. This is almost 5 megawatts. Oh, that darn city boundary. So back here is almost 5 megawatts. So I am going to place a windmill here. And I also like to just build a transformer. I mean, it's $30,000, $3,000 a month upkeep, reasonable. I'm going to build this and connect it to the outside so that any extra power that we make from here can help offset any of our city costs. So let's do that. I'm going to build a road along this contour. A service road. Now, the thing that I hate the most about this is that I created a stoplight. we're going to have to spend one of our development points to get road services and get rid of that stoplight, as well as a few other ones that exist around here, because um, they just, some of them don't make sense. So, all right. Anyway, back to the transformer, right? All right, so we got our service road. That's going to service other things as well, but oh no. Forgot to turn on the contour lines. See what happened? Bummer fest. All right, I should have put it on this side and softened the terrain, but I got a little click happy and I'm not spending extra money to move it. So let's go ahead and soften this up. So I'm going to go ahead and take a smaller brush. Let's level this out from here. So let's give it some space, and then we can use our soften terrain tool to just soften those edges up so it doesn't look like it's just jetted into the side of a cliff. In this case, it almost looks purposeful on how this is coming around. All right, so anyway, back to the electricity farm. We need to go ahead and connect this to our high transmission lines, and we need to connect our windmill to our low voltage lines, which we can go underground, which is amazing. So let's click, and we just need to slap it onto a road. So now, because of how this is, all of our roads have electricity and water pipes built into it, except for some bridges, which is a weird thing, but we'll cover that later because we're going to have plenty of bridges, and I like fancy bridges, other than this guy. All right. So those are our initial city services. We have our power and sewage. Some things that we're going to unlock later when it comes to city services include healthcare and death care, which healthcare and death care we only need if your citizens are telling you you need it, with a little icon, which we'll see later. And they take up a lot of space. So at this point, you got to consider and think about where you're going to put some of these things. I'm a big fan about putting cemeteries near the water. I don't know why, if it's the decaying bodies and flesh that would leak into the water supply, that excites me. I have no idea, but where I'm from, where I live in Wisconsin, it seems like a lot of the cemeteries are near water. I don't know if it's just a focal point or what, but I'm gonna stick with that. But in this case, we can actually now run it, because now we have everything we need to get this city going. All right, let's run this show. Let's see what we're gonna get. So our commercial zones are popping, our residentials are going. This is awesome. And our industrial area, we already got one little guy just popping up, just one. And it looks like he is going to build his front facing off of Sterling Street, which is pretty cool. I like that idea here, off of these little service roads. Keep deliveries off of the thoroughfares. So let's go ahead and let's get this stuff going. We're almost close to milestone number 1, which is going to be awesome, because we can then actually see what our budget looks like, other than us just losing $1,000 every hour. Oh, this is turning out good. The land, see, here we go. The land isn't too jankety. We can soften that up with our terrain tool. Same here. You see how that creates a cliff because it bites into it and it bites off of it. So we can soften this up as well. Let's see what it looks like once buildings start popping. So we got quite a bit of commercial demand so far. So I'm going to go ahead and add some commercial over here. And let's just see those guys pop. So I kind of like it here in this case, where our commercial buildings are zoned and building off of. Majority of them are coming off of Lilac Street in this case. So you can see here, this guy's the only offender that hasn't. So we'll see. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but we'll go with it. And this guy's also building on Lilac Street, and this guy's building on Ivy. So these two, awesome. Let's see, we're getting more industrial. This is looking great. Oh, we're so close. Look at that. We just need 43 more experience points. And it'll be spectacular. And we'll have the next milestone, which does include tiny village and row housing. So we'll add some row houses to the main thoroughfare. Is this and oh, there it should be. So let's see, we got map tiles, city budget finally unlocks, taxation, I love it. We have additional special industry, which we haven't done too much with yet, but now we actually have some additional 4-lane roads, and this is where healthcare, deathcare come about, as well as our garbage dump. So something we're going to have to consider. If we went with a coal power plant, we would definitely have to include a garbage dump right away, because as the coal ash builds up, so does the garbage on that one, and that's required. So our row housing, I'm going to build some row housing right off of here. I do want to make sure that I build some pedestrian paths so that people can come straight through, and just utilize these as buffers, as items that we're recognizing. And I'm going to leave space at the back so that we can maybe build a parking lot or two later on. Kind of like a downtown and traditional type of row housing where you don't have parking. Where you have parking in the back of the residence instead. I'm going to add some commercial over there. And why I'm trying to diversify these neighborhoods here is so that people, I mean, later on in the game, you want to walk, right? You want to be able to walk to a place instead of drive and park your car. I mean, traffic isn't bad now, but traffic's only going to get a little bit worse as the game goes on. Especially as these intersections start to back up and people move in. These medium densities aren't terrible, but once you start getting the big medium density buildings, that's when it starts to build up. You got like 30 or 40 families that move in. In this case, you got four different households that move into one of these row houses. So that's not terrible. 4 versus 1. This is 1 household, 3 residents. All right, so let's see what's next. They're asking for additional zoning. So we'll go ahead and add some more off to the back here for our residential. They haven't asked for any of our other unlocks yet, so that's good. So let's go ahead and add that. Go ahead and pause the game so I can go ahead and get this taken care of. Let's see, let's make sure. Let's just check the grades. We're just checking the grades. And we'll probably kind of bring this over and follow the contour here that we have, so that we don't disrupt the zoning or to the contours. And let's upgrade this one. Let's get it off of there. Perfect. So now we have a little area where we can go ahead and add our additional residential that we would use. I wonder. I can get respectfully another 122. Yeah, that's not bad. We just need to make sure that we're being mindful of that. And I'm going to curve this baby up here. This is going to follow this here. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and add some more zoning. We have some additional residential we can add. Now the contour lines. I wish they would show you the contour lines, but you kind of have to see them here. So we can go ahead and do that. Add some spaces. And then these ones were relatively flat. They contoured down here. So these sides will, this side we'll want to respect. Leave some spaces here. Stick with some of those. And then back here, since it's a little bit flatter, we can go ahead and add these in the back. Similar up front. So in this case, I'll do a 2, 2, 4. Oops. All right, let's see this one. This one's not bad either. I almost want to just zone one, and you can see how silly it looks. There, leave some spaces as well. Get a little bit higher up. It's here. I almost fell for it. There we go. That looks better. Now we'll have some nice lakefront, pond front. I'm calling it pond front zoning. Do that. Perfect. So now we got some additional residential zoning there. Oh, no. Oh, big mistake. All right, let's own up to it. Oh, wrong zoning type. All right, that was, oh boy. Yep. Why didn't you guys tell me? Let's get this fixed. We didn't want medium density. I was like, why is that dropping drastically down there in the demand bar? Okay, yeah, that would look kind of weird, in my opinion, if we did medium density row houses in that fashion. Typically, they look nice next to each other, not sporadically placed around the map. So those will all dezone, and single family will move in. So there we go. And I left this block here, intentionally dezoned, because I did intend, since it's slightly flat, it does have a little curve to it. It's not a lot. I did intend on putting row houses in here along Garnet Street and Briar Street. Surprise, surprise, the party's been spoiled. So I'm going to go ahead and block zoning off on here with the pedestrian path. Another great use for it. And let's go. This is where this should take care of most of our medium density demand. So once these fill in, I just want to do 6 by 6. Let's go ahead, and now we can can those guys and then zone the rest. Those other two. And so now we'll have a little brick and block of medium density back here. All right. So nobody's been, I just had to say something. I was going to say nobody's been asking for an ambulance, so we haven't had to build one, but I opened my mouth, and guess what? So let's build a clinic. So let's go ahead and get this going here. There's 2 options right away that are unlocked. It's the medical clinic and the small medical clinic. We're going to go with the small medical clinic. We don't have a lot of people around here, so let's go with that. I mean, it serves 25 people compared to 100. I mean, that would be almost a fourth of our population needs to be at the medical clinic to justify it. And right now we're just looking for one person who needs help, medical help, right? I don't know if they've fallen and they can't get up or what. But with that, this is one that we're going to want to have in a reasonable location, because if we build additional residential over on this side of the street or this side of our arterial, we want to be able to utilize that component or that piece. So by building it close to but not on the arterial, will provide service. So I'll probably look to the contour lines are on this building. Build something here off of Underhill Street, because it's not a collector road, but it would drive traffic. So we need to make sure that we're respecting that piece. Or I might just do it, yeah, right off of Underhill on this side of it. But we do need to take roadside snapping off and find the front of the building. Which one's the front? Oh, good. All right, because I want the front to be on Underhill, not Pearl. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place this here. So as you can see, now we have a medical clinic that has a spot for 25 people, and we should already have the ambulance leaving here shortly. There he goes. Let's follow him on his ride. Our first service already. Now, I'm glad we haven't had to have the... There's two already? Alright, I'm glad we haven't had the hearse come out, because that's a bigger building. Okay, well, I gotta stop talking, because clearly, now we got dead, decaying people over here. I just have to say something, and then we need to build the service. So let's pause this and let's look at death care quick. So death care comes with two options. We have the cemetery and the crematorium. Crematorium costs a lot of money. Maybe not the best option for starting out, but I know a lot of people do start with this one because it's less space and the upkeep is less. But I really like the cemetery because it creates a form of well-being for the surrounding areas. But it's ginormous. So, and with this topography, it provides an opportunity to disappoint and flatten land and create sharp, jagged edges. But we do have this beautiful peninsula opportunity back here that we can go ahead and build on. That's flat and provides almost like it's perfect for a cemetery here. I mean, first citizens aren't getting the best view. At least once you die, you get a decent view. So let's go ahead and get this going, and then we can go ahead and connect a road up to our arterial that we have built to our industrial region. So let's get that going, and let's check out the topography. Not bad. I'll take that. Let's go ahead and snap to. Get that going and follow our contour lines. So because of how we have this situated, no matter what we do, we're going to be at over 5 degrees. So I might just cut where it's a little bit shorter, like so. So we're looking at 4 degrees with a slight, that's steep, 7%. It's like interest rates in the United States. All right. So I guess we're gonna just go right with it. All right. Probably just build our next neighborhood in a way. Or a couplet, yeah, right? I mean, that's the idea. That's how we're gonna go with it. I don't like it. Alright, undo, undo. I think I'm just, for the sake of this, I'm just going to accept the 7% slope at that distance is not terrible. So, there. Not too bad. Now we have a way over there, and then we aren't building anything just yet over here. So, let's get going. We have our cemetery. Our budget is falling apart. And with that, we still need some labor. So we will need to add on to our neighborhoods, which we can go ahead and add another. I want to add another block of this row housing. So let's go ahead and add some more row housing. Stick to it. 122. 122. I mean, it's only 1% grade, so not bad. And yeah, I forgot we unlocked these other roads. So let's go ahead and get these blocked off so that we can go ahead and just do our row housing. One click, that's all. Let's eliminate that demand. Let's get some additional workers coming in. Let's clean this up. So we got six deep row houses. Clean that up and finish zoning those pieces. Perfect. Keep an eye on that, and then we can go ahead and add a couple, I want to say 2 more neighborhood blocks over here for low density. And because the slope is not terrible, we can go ahead and still continue on with our grid approach. Can I add one more? Oh no. Just shy. All right. We'll go with that. And then maybe later we can buy some tiles back here. But it looks like we're going to then have to play a little bit differently towards the topography, just like this one. Actually, let's play this. There. Because now it's connected, but now I'm curious what the name is. Oh, now it's Underhill Street. Jeez, look at this. Oh, what is this making? Underhill Street. Oh boy, look at this. This street is nuts. Alright, makes no sense. Alright, let's go ahead and check out our topography. Not bad. I think we can roll with it. This is what happens when you just kind of blanket zone. You get some big buildings, some big lots. Not the store if you're in the States. But you end up getting something like this where there's some ups and downs. Let's go ahead and check our people. So check out our unemployment, 16% unemployment. So we're gonna need some additional commercial. I'm gonna go ahead and add another block of our industrial. It says we need labor, but I'm pretty sure these people are moving in here shortly. Got a lot of adults, not a lot of seniors, not a lot of kids or teens, so they're working. These people are somehow middle-aged, I guess, somehow. All right, anyway. All right, so we've got that. We have how many jobs available? We got a lot of uneducated jobs available. And we're still gap of like 200 people, but anyway. All right, and then I'll probably zone a commercial lot back here, since there's a lot of residential people that live back here now, because of our row houses. So I'll go ahead and add a 4x4 and a 4x5 and a 3x3 on that. Perfect. There, I got a 4x4 right there. And then I'm going to check the um, profitability for our commercial businesses just to make sure we're in an okay spot. So we can do that over here by checking out our company profitability. So yeah, these guys just open. You can't judge them. They shouldn't be making any money. If they are, it's a scam. But we just have a couple people out here that aren't making the best money. And then these ones are not that efficient because they don't have all of the labor force of the uneducated labor force. So we got that going against us. Garbage is not piling up, so we're doing okay right now of not having a garbage dump. So yeah, I mean we're doing great, in my opinion. We got some great zoning over here, respecting the topography of the heights and the lot sizes so that there isn't anything too crazy. I'm gonna go through and clean up some of this, just kind of softened it. I'm gonna do a bigger brush, softer brush, kind of just smooth it out. What it does is it averages it out so it's not so drastic or big. All right, city builders, that wraps up the foundation for Riverbend Peak County. We've laid our roads, zoned our first neighborhoods, and got the basic services up and running. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this exciting start. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that like button and zone this channel to higher density by subscribing. It really helps the channel grow, just like our city. And now, here's a little preview of what's coming up next in episode 2. We'll be building out our educational foundation with the city's first schools, tackling the tricky task of balancing the budget, and of course, expanding our city as we welcome more citizens to Riverbend Peak County. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Should we build that couplet or not? And any tips for keeping the budget in check early on? Let me know. Until next time, remember, create cities, control chaos, and I'll see you in the next episode.